The minority in parliament says the country's debt levels have reached unsustainable limits, warning it is endangering the economy. Spokesperson on finance, Kesala Tufosin, said the country's debt is now 200 billion Ghana cedis, out of which 80 billion cedis was accrued since 2017. He says President Akufo-Addo has betrayed Ghanaians.
Total oil revenue that has been received between 2017 to 2018 and is expected to be received in 2019 currently stands at 12.3 billion Ghana cedis. So clearly this administration have received oil revenue up to 12.3 billion Ghana cedis over the short period. The Minority Caucus is deeply concerned about the recklessness or reckless borrowing of the NPP government. This extent of borrowing marks a betrayal of trust reposed in the president after he and his then vice presidential candidate promised in opposition not to borrow because, according to them, we had all the resources needed to finance our development. Not only has the president's insatiable appetite for borrowing exposed that promise as hollow, it also shows that he and his team do not possess the competence they claim to have to generate the domestic revenue to finance the national budget. It is even more worrying that despite the unprecedented level of borrowing, President Akufo-Addo does not have any significant capital expenditure to show, unlike his predecessor, President John Dramani Mahama, who invested borrowed funds in major capital investment across all sectors of the economy, from education, health, housing, roads, railway, energy, communications, aviation, transport, among others. Almost all major projects that are currently ongoing under this administration, for which funding was secured under President Akufo-Addo, President Mahama, or have begun under him. President Akufo-Addo's inability to show any tangible outcome for the excessive borrowing raises serious concerns about the prudence of his borrowing decisions. We recall how in opposition he and his running mate falsely claimed that the then NDC government was spending on consumption and that they would not use what was being done with the funds. We note that in addition to these heavy borrowings, President Akufo-Addo has had more money at his disposal than all other governments and should have done far more than is being done currently. Let me also say that an analysis of the 3-year budget statement presented in the year 2017 shows that tax revenue alone has brought in about 113.4 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 21.4 billion at current exchange rate.
Atufosin says government is planning to borrow more and the debt stock will hit 250 billion cedis next year.
If you are to look at the 2019 budget, the government has projected to receive an amount of 45.2 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue. If you are to add all three together, you will notice that government has received or is about to receive an amount of 113.4 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue. Again, if we are to convert that in today's exchange rate, it's about 21.4 billion Ghana cedis. 21.4 billion US dollars. In addition to this, government has received a grant of 3.7 billion Ghana cedis so far, and this is made up of 2017 1.5 billion in grant, 2018 1.1 billion in grant, and 2019 government has projected to receive again an amount of 1.1 billion Ghana cedis in grant. Our concern is that this is against a government that has promised and has come out with a slogan that Ghana is beyond aid. Again, they are borrowing and getting a lot of money at the back of it. The government issuance calendar for the second quarter of this year shows that another 12.1 billion will be borrowed, with a net amount of 566 billion Ghana cedis being added to the public debt. Our estimate based on this trend is that the public debt will rise to about 250 billion in a year by this time. So next year by this time, don't be surprised if your public debt gets to 250 billion Ghana cedis. This is an addition of 130 billion Ghana cedis in as against what they inherited. So they will end up adding more than what Ghana as a country had.